Good morning. Welcome back for the spring semester. My name is Dr. Sassmore. Welcome to Intro to Data Analytics with AI. I'm going to send around an attendance sheet. Please initial next to your name. If you have a preferred name, write that next to your name. You can write next to your own name. At some point in the next week or so, I will make a seating chart. We won't keep doing this. That way I'll be able to put names with faces. Some of you I've seen in other courses, some of you I haven't. I apologize to you all. This is normally Dr. Burns' course. I got access to it on the 7th. I'm not quite halfway through it yet. Well, I'm learning right along with you exactly what's supposed to be covered in this course the majority of the time. Almost all of the beginning of this course is parallel to what I've done in statistics courses and business modeling courses. So I haven't run into stuff I don't thoroughly understand yet, but I'm sure there will be. So I'm going to be picking Dr. Burns' brains to make sure I give this to you properly. Those of you who are going to be taking SMA 129 business statistics in the fall, you will see a lot of this in more detail there at the beginning of the course. There's a website for my information with my schedule on it here at this URL. There's a Discord server. There will be channels for this course. If you want to use that as a back channel communication for this class, that's completely up to you. I have office hours over in Reeves in the Math Enrichment Center. Go in the front doors facing the quad, go all the way to the back between IT and Career and Professional Development is the Math Enrichment Center. I will be in there. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1:50 to 3:30, Tuesday, 1 to 3:30, and Thursday, 20 to 3:35. And if you can't make any of those at all, we can make an appointment. I'm working over Zoom fairly confidently. I have a lot of ability to write and share and show you all of the things that I'm going to be working on. We're going to have access to this book, Business Analytics with Python. I am telling you right now, I am not a Python coder. I never have been. I don't expect you to become Python coders today. I don't expect you to have more than a bare passing familiarity with Python or coding in general at this point. If you're going to go on in data science, you may very well take computer science courses focused on business programming. Most of what we will be doing will be done in other software programs, and we'll look at some of the code that you can ask the coding people on your business team to develop for you at certain points. The book is on our Canvas page. If you go to our Canvas page, you will find a course materials tab in the upper left. When you click on course materials, it will take you to the Barnes & Noble Manager. And there's our course, and there's our textbook. If you have other courses that have digital materials for you, this is where you'll find them as well. You might have to search for our course, SDT100. Most of what I am doing is not primarily out of the textbook because the textbook is aimed at a programming course. So most of what I'm going to use is coming off of this top link in the file, that's first module here, that says Google site for DT100 Dr. Burns. That's this page. Dr. Burns, when he teaches this course, he's taught it primarily as an online course. It's designed in 8 sequential modules, building through the idea of what we're going to do. And there are discussion forum posts for you. There are quizzes based on the lectures and discussions, and then projects and quizzes based on those projects in here. I'm going to use this a lot. You have access to this 24/7, 365. It's not on Canvas. It's a general Google site. Bookmark this. Use it at your discretion. On our Canvas page, I will post examples I'm going to use. The discussion posts and then the assignments are all linked here with due dates on them. But if you notice, this only goes through module 3. That's where I am in terms of examples and notes and things I've already prepped for you. I expect to fill in the rest of the dates as we go through the semester here, filling out these. That's going to be the easiest way for you to get the assignments. Now, I will also add to these pages my written notes. Anything I write under this camera as we're going along will be available to you. In addition, I'm recording this right here on my computer. That recording will go to a YouTube channel for this course that will be linked right up here in the first module as well. That way you have access to all of the discussions we've already had at any point in time, and YouTube closed captions those completely. Stop share. Okay. As with every course, here's what I think we're going to be able to get out of this course. And here are the ways in which we're going to assess those items. This is an introductory behavior course. So I'm not expecting you to master everything first shot right away. What I will tell you is that we're going to teach this in a spiral fashion. What you see here, you'll see again next semester in business statistics. You'll see again the semester after in quantitative business analysis BU 451. So modeling and assigning these ideas to the real world is foundationally important because business decisions don't get made in a vacuum. Ideally, we'll talk about this in a little bit, you want to use your data to drive your company's decision-making skills so that they can make well-informed decisions. We'll use primarily Excel, Power BI, Tableau, Jamovi, other available pieces of software for you to gather, collect, and then present this data in a useful fashion to your peers and project managers in your business setting. And I hope that all of these problems will be practical ones. There are a lot of things I can rig. Here's an example, only works for this example. We're never going to do it again. Why would I do that to you? That's a waste of both of our times. First of all, I have to come up with and rig this example. And secondly, you're never going to see it again. That's a useless idea. In general, though, this requires critical thinking. Critical thinking is not trivial. One of the most common issues that we have as human beings is the desire to know, to have an answer instantly, to get, understand, and fully internalize an item in an instant. Unfortunately, it don't work that way. I'd love for it to work that way. Anybody here on an athletic team? Okay. How many of you have had practice in the last week? Why? It's not a rhetorical question. Why? To get better. Because you're not winning the World Series, the World Cup in lacrosse, the FIFA World Cup, whatever the top in your sport, you're not winning it today. You're not all going to go out and win Olympic gold medals tomorrow. Some of you may go on to win Olympic gold medals. I hope so. But you practice to improve yourself at whatever you want to be doing. That's a loaded statement, though. Whatever you want to be doing. Because just like you, this may very well not be what you want to be doing, but it's what you need to do. Separate statement. We practice to get better. Carefully thinking about what we are doing is part of that practice. Whether that's swing analysis, gait analysis, striking analysis. Those people on the baseball team, who'd be in the baseball team? Batting knobs at the end of the bats. Why? It's all swing analysis, right? That's a giant pile of data for us to use to figure out how to make your swing better. I'm going to take that same exact idea and ask you to make your business decisions better. Because I don't know what you're going to be doing when you get out of Seton Hill. What I do know is that you'll need to be able to make decisions carefully. That means you need to be able to get good resources and good information. You have to make sure that that information is useful and appropriate to you. If I sit down with that batting device, swing measure on the end of my bat, and I'm just loosely warming up, is that collecting good data for me right then? Really should be only using it when I'm actually doing batting practice, so that I get the data that is most relevant to me. But that means you'll need to figure out how to get good data. There will be 3 group projects in this. You will create groups. You'll be allowed to change groups if you want. I'm hoping groups of 3 or 4 or so. We'll discuss that as we get closer to the first group project. You will need to write up your results for a not necessarily equally mathematically literate audience. I do a lot of work with people whose degrees are in psychology and history and English, and if I start talking numbers at them, they just kind of glaze over. But if I write up an explanation, a narrative, add images that are helpful to that, then I can communicate that well. And then I give that to them to read, and we go back and forth with questions. So written and verbal communication is an important part of this. I guarantee you, the skill set you learn in this class is a minute fraction of what you will need for your eventual employment, career path, and desired learning goals. But that means when you get out of here, the entire software universe may be working differently. And all of the software I've shown you may not be the best way to do the job that we did. The math itself won't change, but the way in which we get it will. And that means you're going to need to be able to learn some of this and then extend your knowledge outside of this. Questions so far? Policies from here on out. Most of this is just policy. Please come to class. I'm taking attendance. Attendance counts towards your grade. It is 10% of your overall grade. Excused absences are a whole different story. If you're going to miss for some reason, you've told me in advance, we've worked something out, I've gotten a note, we'll make it work. I'm going to use Microsoft Office a lot because most of my data work is going to be in Excel. If you do not currently have Excel on your computer, or you're using Office 365 and you haven't yet, there's a link here to get Office 365 for this course. You can use your setonhill.edu password and email, download the software, log into Office 365, however you want to access that. Told you about the assignments and modules. Almost all of the data analysis will be from files I give you. We're not going to include data scraping and data gathering specifically in this course. There are lots of ways to visit a website that's got a giant pile of data on it and pull all that down in just one Excel file. And then you can use it for whatever you want. More frequently, as those data sets are subject to change, we simply want to link to and pull as we go. We'll develop tools for doing that as well. I do not know at this point if I have a tutor for this course. I believe I do, but I haven't gotten announcements of hours. As soon as I have those announcements, we'll put them on Canvas and you'll be able to get them. This course is 1,000 points. Discussion posts, quizzes on the lectures that need Respondus Monitor and Lockdown Browser. If you have already installed Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor, please do it again, because every semester they update something and it stops working with the last version. My goal by Thursday is to have a practice quiz available for you so that you can see everything we need to get it. I'll make that available as soon as I can. Projects. I give you a data file, you're going to get some instructions and do some analysis and upload a response or take a quiz on those responses. Modules 3, 6, and 8 are the larger projects. Those will be group projects. And those are worth 100, 150, and 250 points, respectively. Attendance, as I said, and a peer feedback. If you keep track of your points, I will use the Canvas gradebook. You should be able to see everything the whole way through. Then you can tell me what you're going to get. I may, at the end of the semester, say, all right, project 2 grades were a little harsh because I wrote a question incorrectly and there's 2 different answers. Let me give some points back there. But that won't be something I know. So I get to the end of the semester and I do my meta-analysis of the grades in this course. More questions? The stairwell out the building is directly across the hall. In the case of an emergency, that's our evacuation route. But that means the aisles need to be clear. If you've got large bags, athletic equipment, art materials, etc., please put them up against the wall, under your tables as well as possible, against the back, so that we can keep the aisleways clear if we need to get out of here. You'll get starfish feedback at least a couple of times in the semester, if not more frequently. Starfish was originally designed as a retention data analysis piece of software so that we can have appropriate outreach to keep students on campus, to keep you enrolled. So doing stuff through Starfish is important. I will do that at least twice, probably 3 or 4 times during the semester. If you need to contact me for any reason, email is the easiest way. I know. I'm old. Make sure you put which class you're in the subject, so I know I'm not searching for who you are and which course we're talking about. I will not be available between 9:30 p.m. and 7:30 a.m. I tend to go to bed early and get up crack of dawn. I was on campus at about 6 this morning. If you call my phone on my office, it'll convert your voicemail into an email and email me immediately. So if you're driving into campus, you have a flat tire, call me, email me, take a picture of the tire, send it to me. We'll make it work. The course schedule that is posted on our Canvas page is fairly loose at this point. My goal is to get through the modules and put in the due dates as we complete each module. Those assignment dates will be on that main page. Ideally, by the time we are here, you'll be working on your final projects together. The due date for that is what would have been the final exam period, 10:30 to 12:30. I'll be here if you want to come ask me questions. If there are changes, this will get rewritten and reposted. If I'm wandering through things over and over, it's because somebody behind you is still looking at me like, huh? And I'm going to wait until that face goes away. Please make sure you've got your email address in Canvas properly. By default, it uses your Seton Hill email. If you set that up to forward and you email me from some other email address, I'm not going to remember who countrybutterfly25@yahoo.com is. But I will respond to that email address, but by default, when I send stuff, they'll go to your Seton Hill email automatically. Please set your cell phones to silent and vibrate. I'd prefer not to have loud music interrupt the class when you're all sitting here thinking about something. You may not wear earphones or earbuds during class unless you provide documentation of a hearing issue that requires them. Those of you with your hoods up, with your sweatshirts on, I understand. Please give me the 75 minutes twice a week. That's all I'm really asking for. The use of indoor tobacco products is prohibited. Don't smoke on campus. Don't smoke. I miss mine terribly. I'm still getting over that addiction. But also, chewing tobacco, snuff, etc. If it gets in the carpet, it never comes out. Please don't. I am a mandatory Title IX reporter. If I witness or am informed of harassment of any type, I am by law required to report it up the chain to the Title IX coordinator. That should not stop you from talking to me about something if you want to. But if you don't want me to be reporting stuff, then you can't tell me about it. If you want to talk to people who can't or who are exempt from this mandatory reporting stuff, Blackburn Center, the Counseling Center, Campus Ministry, they can hook you up with support services just as well as I can. They are exempt from mandatory reporting. Disability services. Upstairs, the far end of the floor upstairs, student services can provide me with the legal documentation for anything I am required to provide you. If you have any sort of designated legal accommodations, please contact them, ideally by the end of next week, so we can get the paperwork process completely underway, and I can give you all the things you're supposed to have based on what's legally required. As I said earlier, I am recording. So if there's something that we come across and you say, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to go on the record with this, I can pause the recording. That's fine. I don't think we'll be addressing very many sensitive topics like that in this course, but if we need to, we can. Academic engagement. Participation in this course is a matter of doing what needs to be done, engaging in the classroom discussions, and being a part of the group you are working in. I understand that you may have events outside that take you away from this course. As I said earlier, excused absences are something we will deal with. Since I'm recording everything, ideally, I will make it so that you have access to that wherever you are. Please let me know as far in advance if you're not going to be here. Please try to be here as often as you can. And let me know what I can do to help make this course both more interesting and more attractive to your specific future goals. Academic honesty. Don't cheat. Wait a minute. What the hell does that mean? Well, it is fairly easy to take your data set, wander over to Gemini or ChatGPT or Grok or whatever AI you want to use, throw the data set at it, say, answer these questions for me, and walk away. Am I going to learn anything that way? Every exercise that appears in this textbook can be Googled. There's not a book on the face of the planet with examples and exercises in it that I have not found the answers online. So what does it mean to engage in academic honesty here? It means not riding your classmates' coattails. If you're in a group doing a group project, I want you all to be contributing in some fashion. I'm going to ask you about your fellow group members and say, hey, how did you all get along? How did you work together? But it also means that you should make a good faith effort to struggle with the material. The first step in getting good at something is sucking at it really hard. I guarantee you, if I handed you 3 balls and said, juggle, do a cascade right now, how many of you could do a cascade? How many of you know what a 3-ball cascade is? The 3-ball cascade is the standard juggling pattern that you see everybody start with. Any of you juggled? That's what I thought. But if you want to learn to juggle, how do you learn to juggle? You pick up 3 balls and start trying. And you suck. And you drop them and they go everywhere and they roll all over and you deal with it. And you keep at it. And the longer you're willing to suck at it, better you'll get. That is not specific to juggling or any other endeavor you are going to engage in. In academics, that means the thing that's going to hurt is between your ears. And your pride that it doesn't come to you immediately is a stumbling block. Ideally, all of this will be something that you do master. But it won't be immediate. Questions? Talk to me, people. The $64,000 question. What the hell are we doing here? What is the idea of data analysis? How many of you live locally? Within 20 minutes of campus? Within an hour of campus? How many of you going home this weekend? I was downstairs and I heard someone say, we're supposed to get between 8 and 11 inches of snow this weekend. Should you go home? How many of you have classes on Mondays? That makes a difference, doesn't it? What can I use to help me make that decision better? If I'm working for a company, I'm working for Seton Hill University. How is Seton Hill University doing? How do we judge how Seton Hill University is doing? Again, that's not a rhetorical question. Enrollment? How would we use enrollment to make that decision? What would be a way we would use that? Because every enrolled student pays, right? If the enrolled student pays and I know how much we're making, I can use our financial position. Is enrollment alone then a good metric for how the university is doing? It's linked to several other things. So maybe.
You could also use like graduation rate.
Graduation rate. We're required to report graduation rates by the NCAA. We are required to say, this is the percent of students who enroll as freshmen who graduate within 6 years, as well as within 4 years. The NCAA takes both numbers, but they take the 6-year one first. Is that, again, alone a sufficient measure? Seton Hill University has a mission statement. You've got your computers in front of you. Find the mission of Seton Hill University on our website. Who found it? I get on the website. I Google mission statement. Here we are. Mission of Seton Hill University. Seton Hill is a Catholic university rooted in Judeo-Christian values. In the tradition of Elizabeth Ann Seton, we educate students to think and act critically, creatively, and ethically as productive members of society committed to transforming the world. Gesundheit. What's it mean? If this is what we say we do, that's what I need to measure. That's what I need to assess. I need to decide, do we do this? Enrollment numbers, graduation rates, financial positions are all part of this. But those are strictly business positions. Somewhere in here, I have to ask, do the students that graduate, that enroll, do they get taught about the tradition of Elizabeth Ann Seton and what it means to think and act critically, creatively, and ethically? How good is the university at doing that? By the way, Seton Hill is accredited as a university by the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. They'll be here in 2028 to read the report we are generating on this idea. We are in the midst, just starting the design of a study for the next 3 years to decide this, to prove to our accreditors that we do this. And so, when I ask what data analysis is, there are a lot of different pieces here. I have to ask good questions that I can find answers to in a reasonable fashion, collect and determine what comes out of those answers. Usually, I might be able to make visuals out of this, like charts and graphs and tables and all sorts of other interesting ways to show you what I've gotten out of this data, because a page full of numbers is numbing. I really don't want number to be number. I need to look at the limitations of the data I've come up with. What didn't I get at? What is still unavailable to me? And then I need to make a decision to answer the question we came up with at the beginning. Does Seton Hill fulfill its mission as an institution of higher learning? In a more specific business case, I want to be able to get useful insights out of the data I collect. You are all emitting data by the kilogram right now. Your location is known. How does the world know where you are right now? Does anyone not have their tracking device on? Where's your phone? Location data enabled? Presto, we know where you are. What your phone is doing is being sent back and forth to the cell towers as it pings and requests data being downloaded from whatever apps you've got running in the background. If your email is on your phone, then your email server is updating your phone right now. At some point, your phone may buzz in your pocket. Hey, you got an email. A smart device on your wrist, monitoring your pulse, blood oxygen, whatever else you've got on your health app. It is quite possible that you left behind 5 or 6 megabytes of data just between the time you got up and right now. Who's got it? What can they do with it? What is it protected by and from? If I go down to the bookstore and I look at the sweatshirts that are on the wall, how many of them will be bestsellers by the end of the semester? What will be the best-selling sweatshirt in the bookstore? What about the best-selling item in the bookstore, regardless of what it is? How can I get that information? So I could wait until the middle of May, look at the sales data for the semester, and then find out the top selling item, figure out which sweatshirt sold the best. But it's January. And that'll only tell me past data. You had your hand up as well?
I guess you could also try and look at how much is stock.
Yeah, I could absolutely look at how much is in stock. The problem is that even if I look in stock, that tells me what I've got now based on the ordering they already did. One of the things that happened to me last semester was a number of students came in and said, our textbook never arrived. And it hadn't, because they made a mistake in the order. So within a couple of days, we'd switched from the physical textbook to the electronic textbook, which they were able to put up immediately. So orders right now with what's in stock could help me, but it could also give me a problem. It tells me what I've already ordered, not what I know is going to sell. I could go back and say, why did we order what we ordered? How did sales in the fall look? How did sales last spring look? I can get all that data from the register going back to spring of 25 and say, in January 25, this was what we sold the most of. By May of 25, these items were the top sellers. Will that happen again? I don't know. But at least use that data to decide, what should I order? What did I over order? What should I return? I can figure all of that out. The bookstore does customer satisfaction surveys. How do I make my customers happy? Other than making everything free, which drives me out of business. I can fill out a customer satisfaction survey, get reviews of the products. I can then look for frequently mentioned issues. I can look for complaints, returns. I can analyze what's going on with these particular products I'm selling. The most common, well, second most common analysis in the world today is sports analytics. As a matter of fact, I got into data analysis via sports analytics from a presentation a number of years ago. Again, on your computer, go to the NBA website, nba.com. There's an entire drop-down menu labeled stats. If I go there, I can see everything that happened by yesterday, by season. I can go back by points scored, blocks. I can go through everything here. There are dozens of statistics. Go away, pop up. There are dozens of statistics I can find and track. Why? Why do this? Again, I promise, that's not a rhetorical question. Why do this? Movie's not that old. What movie am I talking about, people? The sports analytics movie. Moneyball. Moneyball was written on baseball statistics because they saved the team a lot of money and they got to the challenge. Every person who's in a fantasy sports league, this is what they're doing. By the way, as far as I can tell, fantasy sports is D&D for jocks. I make up my team, I collect all their information, and I wait and see what happens. I collect all my party, I roll up their stats, and then we see what happens. It's the same game. I'm never personally going to spend a lot of time working through this level of statistics because I'm not a sports analyst. Several of our students who have graduated have jobs with sports teams. One of the math graduates from 3 years ago has a job with the Buffalo Sabres. Okay, that's what he wanted to be doing. Where else can I do this same type of analysis? What other fields? Okay, most of you should be business majors. Where do you see yourself in business? What is your particular field? Somebody talk to me. Accounting. So where am I going to use this sort of analysis in accounting? What could I be doing with data analysis in accounting? Forensic accounting is nothing but data analysis. I'm hunting for anomalies and trends and sudden changes in behavior and towing the lines on regulations. And I'm looking for all sorts of questionable behaviors that may or may not indicate something weird went on here. One of my acquaintances through a former coworker left a job teaching statistics in biology to work for PNC Bank. In one statistics trick, she showed them how she could find fraudulent deposits. Within the first 2 months on the job, she was given 2 raises and promoted for something we'll learn how to do here. Cost analysis works really well here. Every time you go comparison shopping, you're really doing data analysis. Which breakfast cereal should I buy? Questions? What we are after is data-driven decision-making. One of the most common questions I get asked is, why did you do that? In almost every case, I should be able to respond with a set of reasons and justifications, the least of which is, it felt right. Gut feelings, instinctual decisions, and immediacy of, this is what I think, it's what I feel to be the right thing to do. That's not a bad thing when you're trying to decide which breakfast cereal to buy. It might be a very bad thing when you're trying to decide which player to draft. which college to go to, which job offer to accept. I would like to have good data to make my decisions. What this offsets is bias. Not all bias is bad. A bias in this case is a tendency to make a decision on personal judgments, assumptions, or other intangibles that lead to inaccurate results. A lot of what we see as the negative connotations of the word bias are absolutely true. I'm not going to tell you right now who's going to do well in this course and who's going to do poorly in this course. I have no way of judging. However, I've been teaching in higher education since 1994. I should be able to tell you what sort of characteristics a successful student has. Should. I don't want to look at this room and go, oh, you're getting a D, you're getting a C, you're getting an A, you're getting a D. I have no way of knowing this. And it would be unfair of me to prejudge that. Five months from now, finals will be over, grades will be in, and I'll be able to say, all right, do any of the things that I think I saw at the beginning of the semester bear out? Is that a worthwhile analysis? Probably not. I don't want to go with my own gut and decide grades based on that. My goal is to develop an actionable insight from my data. My goal is to improve my decision-making ability. The data should give me information that helps me decide things more clearly. And in this case, that's the action I'm going to take. I can decide what products to stock based on historical trends. And you've seen some amazingly silly products take off, flood the market. Everybody wants one. Everybody's going to buy the next whatever. I don't know. If you could predict what the next Labubu was going to be, wouldn't you buy them all right now? Hoard your stock and then sell them when the time came up and it blew up on the market? This is what happened with Beanie Babies. You should look that one up. Thai Beanie Babies, TY. If you don't know about Beanie Babies, there were court settlements during divorces. I start looking at customer service. If I want to improve customer service, one of the biggest problems I will have is getting uniformly useful data. Y'all took classes last semester, right? Did you fill out your course evaluations? Why? Your teachers didn't see them until the day after grades were due. So there was absolutely no way for you to affect your grade with your survey. Why do them? Oh, you did get points for doing it. How did they know you filled them out? Oh. So you got an incentive. I have a story that happened here. A teacher said, I will buy the class donuts the last day of classes if everybody has filled out their evaluations by then. And one student emailed the rest of them, said, I'm not doing my evaluation unless each of you pays me $10. Free donut worth it? Probably not. But you just set up an extortion ring for course evaluations. Different kind of incentive, huh? What am I going to do with my course evaluations from last semester? Other than read them. I am teaching, by the way, 2 of these same courses I taught last semester. So I'm teaching the exact same material that I taught in the fall in 2 classes. Why would reading the evaluations help? Why would they hurt? Ask about bias in this case. The people who are most likely to fill out a course evaluation either really like the course or really hate the course. The middle, if you're feeling meh about something, are you going to fill out the customer satisfaction survey on it? It's not worth my time. Unless there's some sort of incentive, it's not worth it to me. So now I have to say, okay, I had a class of 30 people last semester. I got back 14 evaluations. Is that good or bad? Will they be split between people who love me and people who hate me? Or will they be more lopsided to one or the other? Or will they simply be, I felt like it. I need to understand the bias within the responses I get. Fortunately for me, all of the course evaluations are anonymized. I get summary information, and any written out comment is just put in one block with all of the comments stuck together. So if there's a question that says, what was the most useful thing in this course? There could be, 14 responses, one after the other, of what people thought. What was the least useful thing in this course? I don't know whose goes with whose. And that makes it easier for me because I'm going to be unable to say, well, this student never came to class. They don't like me anyway, and they got a D-. They don't care. I don't know whose response is whose. That helps. If you're in HR, in business in general, there are a lot of biases available to you, some of which are unconscious. Hiring choices. When you go to advertise a position and you get a bunch of applications in, you have to ensure that you are taking applications from as wide a pool as you can. And then your hiring decision has to follow the law in terms of policies on the number of women in your pool, the number of minorities in your pool, the number of international applicants in your pool, the number of people who require visas and don't. There are legal requirements for some of these hiring choices. Business decisions, right? Who am I going to loan money to? If I'm a bank, deciding who to loan money to is a huge part of my job. Now, there are biases and there are deliberate, actionable insights from my data. I could say, I have given 100,000 loans in the past year, and this group of people with these demographic characteristics, or these employment records, or these housing records, they tend to pay back their loans on time and in full, and people missing one or two or more of these are less likely to pay back their loans on time and in full. That's not the same as saying, I'm not going to loan money to people who live in West Homestead. It's a depressed neighborhood and I'm not going to get anything back. That process is called redlining. And a lot of banks made decisions on who to loan money to exactly that way. They set rates on their loans based on exactly those ideas. You get an interest rate of 7.5%. You get an interest rate of 9.5%. Why? Well, because all of these data say that you're a more risky population than you are. I'm going to jack your interest rate up so I make more money up front. And if you end up not paying off the loan or defaulting or something, I've made more money to start with. There is a recent video on Instacart. I will link to it in our Canvas page, that showed the difference in prices paid at the same grocery store for the same product on the same day by different people ordering from the same physical location. Dynamic pricing allows me to look at the rest of the data I've gotten off your phone and say, you can afford to pay 20 more cents for Cheerios. I'm going to jack up the price on you. Based on the fact that you're buying these high price items, I don't think you'll notice if I raise the price on toilet paper by 20 cents in your cart. They had 30 people order the exact same brands and items and quantities. And prices varied by as much as 15%. Relying on data allows me to avoid bias by removing my personal assumptions. It focuses on measurable outcomes. It improves the accuracy and ensures that I am grounded in reality and not making crap up. It optimizes our resources so I have the greatest impact in everything I can do. And it allows my history to anticipate my future. I want to make those stock decisions. I want to decide what's going to be the best seller. I should look at what's gone before and hope that things repeat. So, I want to look at my ability to do advertising properly. I'm going to spend $500 advertising Seton Hill on Facebook and Instagram. If I just told you I was advertising on Facebook and Instagram, where do you think I'll get more eyes on my stuff? Or more people on Facebook or on Instagram? Remember, I'm aiming at your demographic, not mine. I'm aiming at students, 18 to 24-year-olds, 17 to 24-year-olds, if I get them to come to college, right? I'm advertising for Seton Hill. Where should I be doing more advertising? Because Instagram? It is more your generation than mine, absolutely. But my click-through rate on Instagram is lower than my click-through rate on Facebook. So if I want to advertise and spend my dollars most efficiently, this tells me I'm getting more return on investment on Facebook. Why might that be? I don't want to answer this, but I want you to think about the question, why did you come to Seat Mill? And did you decide alone on coming to Seat Mill? You said Instagram was more your generation than mine. It was more appropriate, right? Which parents help you decide, right? Your aunts, your uncles, your instructors in high school, where are they going to see stuff? Aha. Even though I'm marketing to you, I have to get that data in front of other people's eyes as well, because you don't get to make this decision alone. If I'm ordering for the bookstore, what should I order more of? What benefit does basing next month's orders on last month's orders have for me? I run a business and I want to know why people leave. Why do customers leave my business, my company? They're no longer interested in the Sassmore Internet Company. Why do they leave? Well, it could be price increase, it could be lack of features, it could be poor support, it could be something else. If I think, oh, prices went up, I should offer a discount, I'm not going to get very much back, am I? Most people seem to leave because they don't think they're getting supported. Now, there's that other category. I might have to dig a little deeper and get some more responses out of that, but there are lots of options. How do you, as a manager at Sassmore Internet Company, make a decision on where to spend your money? I'll get fewer people leave if I can increase support. So if I can increase support, this will go down and I'll be happier. I'll make more money, I hope. Number of tasks completed on any given day. Monday through Friday. People get a lot of stuff done on Monday. And what happens by Friday? We're checked out. It's almost the weekend. One of my coworkers says, oh, no, it's Friday and pre-Friday. We're checked out a lot. No. Would it make sense for me to move deadlines? If I want to make sure people get stuff done, I might be better off having more deadlines here on Monday than on Friday. I know you can get a lot of stuff done. You come in refreshed from the weekend, you stick yourself down on the ground and you start doing stuff. It's all of it. All of this is one piece of data. We will get much larger data sets to work with. This discussion today really worked through most of the first two discussions in Module 1. I will post all of my written notes, as well as this file's already up there, but I'll include this page as well. We're going to keep going through the rest of the decision-making process on those discussions in module 1. There are several data files available for you in the 2 assignments to look at, to play with. If you want to start ahead, feel free to go to that set of assignments. I think it's the second one. Nope, that's the actual quiz. See, this one says based solely on the lectures. It's this one that has a data set attached to it. Assignment 1-1. Pull that down. Play with it. Don't start the quiz until you've done some examination. But we're not quite at the point where we can actually answer these questions yet. I have some more discussions to add to this. Questions? If you came in late, please come up to the front, sign the attendance roster I've got going on. Otherwise, I will see you all on Thursday. Unless I ask you to stay behind for some other reason, I sent email with them. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Welcome back to the spring semester.